I personally have benefited from following the governing body's direction. I've actually felt joy every day, and I can only put that down to the blessing from Jehovah God on our efforts to be obedient.
Dear sisters, please avoid short skirts or dresses above the knee.
If I helped these men, I knew Jehovah would help me.
We show faith like that of Sarah's when we support the decisions that are made by God's organization today.
Tight-fitting, revealing, low-cut, or otherwise immodest clothing.
I was invited to work on home cleaning team. It's not what I thought I would be doing on construction, but it's fun, and I really love knowing that Jehovah's happy with the work we do.
When we are obedient to Jehovah's direction, then as Hebrews 13:17 states, the brothers may carry out their responsibilities with joy and not with sighing. For married sisters, this means displaying a Sarah-like spirit in their marriage. A Christian wife respects and supports her husband in doing Jehovah's will.
Why should you sisters be particularly mindful of this? Because such immodest dress can be harmful to Christian brothers and even some sisters.
If I helped these men, I knew Jehovah would help me.
Clothes today are designed to sexually excite others, to make the wearer sexy.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jake. Welcome to the show. I've got the bedhead going still. Ignore that. And also ignore everything in the background. Ignore everything. My name is Jake. Thank you for joining us. This is a live show. This is a very unprofessional broadcast. I'm a former Jehovah's Witness, current middling live stream host. And this is a live show. This is broadcast live. If you're watching it live, if not, you're probably watching from the far-flung future. So thanks for joining. We have a lot to get to today. That intro, I started the stream a little late because every week I start editing the intro like a half hour before the stream starts. And I always run out of time. I forget how time works. And I know, sorry. It's a little triggering. Not for me, though. I'm a man. I benefited greatly from the patriarchy. Actually, no, patriarchy is bad for everybody, including men. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about today. I should have prepared some remarks. But we're talking about misogyny within Jehovah's Witnesses because the Watchtower today, I have heard, is particularly sickening. So I figured, let's all get sick together. Let's all throw up at the same time, like those people in the movie theater in The Goonies when Chunk started throwing up. I don't know what I'm saying, and now I'm saying that I'm like, was that character's name even Chunk? I think I might have made that up. Thankfully, somebody has a super chat to distract me. This is all the introduction, which will be erased from the final show. If only our relatives knew, we probably are more excited to see new content than they are. When you're allowed to think for yourself, anything's fun. I know it's much more fun to watch witness content when you can make fun of it instead of having to force your brain to believe it. So let's pull up this Watchtower here. I wanted to pull some pertinent clips. Some of them I kind of had on hand because they played into the video that I've been editing for the main channel. The Sunday meeting of Jehovah's Witnesses, they all study the same publication, the Watchtower, the flagship publication for Jehovah's Witnesses. There is a study edition for the Sunday meetings, their Sunday service. And everybody around the entire world studies the same article. So if you're a Jehovah's Witness in the United States or Japan or Timbuktu, I don't know if that's even a real place, but I hear about it a lot in jokes. No matter where you are as a witness, you're going to be studying the same thing. And so every one of the 8+ million Jehovah's Witnesses around the world is going to be studying this study article today. Thank you, Queen of Flatulence. But you and your girl, buy you and your girl some drinks on me. Oh, to be honest, I don't think you can with $5 anymore. Hey, some happy hours you can do things with $5. I'm gonna focus. I'm gonna get my act together here because this is a struggle. Okay. Good morning to Ron Poma. Good morning, Danny. Sorry, let me pull this up. The article that all Jehovah's Witnesses around the world are studying today is called Young Sisters Become Mature Christian Women. So, even in the title, if you're a never JW watching this, all Jehovah's Witnesses refer to themselves either as brother or sister, the two genders, brother and sister. And so young sisters, so young Jehovah's Witness ladies become mature Jehovah's Witness ladies. Women should likewise be ... moderate in habits, faithful in all things. What a nice, encouraging article. And this picture in particular really stood out to me. I haven't read this article, but I did look at this picture, and it's really creepy. So this is a young Jehovah's Witness person. This is one of those young sisters that the title is referring to. She's checking out her iPad, some jw.org material on there. She's thinking about all the biblical women that she's like now. All three of them are right there. Very creepy. I'm going to take another drink of coffee because this is so far quite the struggle stream. It's in Mali? Interesting. Nowadays, when an article starts by "women should," I'm out. Yeah. Yes. So let's to get into this. Watchtower has been trying to massage their image, the public image of them, as being incredibly sexist and regressive, basically taking biblical literalism, which is very misogynistic, but trying to pretend that it isn't really. And so before we get into this, I should say, like, what they do now, like I showed some clips from a symposium that they did in that opening montage where they're like, see, the Bible has all sorts of amazing young sisters and Christian women that we can follow their example today. One of them, of course, is always the Shulamite woman who doesn't have a name, which is fun. That's the subject of this month's JW broadcasting, which I am responding to in a video that will be much more coherent than this stream so far. So they're trying to really shine up their image and be like, no, women, it's not so bad. Actually, Jehovah loves women a lot. And there's so many amazing women in the Bible and now. Look at all these pictures of women in the background while men do stuff. So, yeah, this is exactly the kind of strong woman you can be. You can be a lady who stands by a kiosk of articles that men wrote about what women should do. You can serve food at the compound where men run everything, or you can teach from a book that men wrote. Any one of these amazing things could be your future. And nothing else, actually. Those are kind of the only things you're allowed to do. So it'll be interesting to see how they try and spin this. But they have not always been quite so smart about dog whistling instead of bull horning. Like they used to just say what they meant instead of hiding it behind this I don't know, faux feminists, biblical womanhood, whatever they're doing now. Um, so jwfacts has a really great article with some damning quotes in their literature that I thought we could get some highlights from. And actually, now that I'm here, I made a huge mistake last week in the stream. I was meant to shout something out that I totally forgot to do. Paul Grundy messaged me and said that he has a new jwfacts page that now been largely translated into Swedish. So if there's anybody who needs something in Swedish, I'm going to put it in the description at the end of the show. But it's jv-fakta.se. So I wanted to make sure I said that before I forgot. But let's get into some of these quotes, because people in every language, people of all tribes and tongues should have access to jwfacts. These pictures are great. What situation? Oh, wait, it didn't do what I thought it was going to do. Oh my God, how do I get it to go away? Okay. What situation provides a wife an opportunity to support her husband's headship? Don't look at it as a burden. Look at it as an opportunity to support your husband's headship. Do you contribute it? I'm going to try that again. Do you contribute to a positive spirit by preparing meaningful comments? Prepare a positive spirit. No, contribute to a positive spirit. I can't talk or read today, and those are the only two things that I really have to do. So far, this is a bit of a problem. Now, I got to shout out Paul Grundy. He's, I don't know if it's him or someone he has helping him with the site, but he's got a lot of more recent quotes on here too, which is great. So this is a quote from a daily text just in 2022. All Christians come under the perfect headship of Jesus Christ. However, when a Christian woman gets married, she comes under the headship of an imperfect man. That can present a challenge. So when considering a potential marriage mate, she would do well to ask herself, what indication do I have that this brother will be a good family head? Do spiritual activities play an important role in his life? If not, what makes me think that he will be a good spiritual head after we get married? Of course, a sister also does well to ask herself, what qualities will I bring to the marriage? Am I patient and generous? Do I have a strong relationship with Jehovah? The level of happiness a wife will experience in her marriage will depend to some extent on the decisions she makes before getting married. Millions of our Christian sisters set an excellent example in being submissive to their husband. They are to be commended! ! Quite creepy. In a video before, a video that I did on the channel last year, I think, I did a video about domestic violence within Jehovah's Witnesses, because they have quite an issue with that. And part of the issue is that they trap people in marriages. They follow the biblical advice, I guess you could call it advice, that you can only get married if there is fornication. So unless somebody cheats on somebody else, you can't get married. You can't get divorced and then remarried. Obviously, you can get divorced in a court of law, but within Jehovah's Witnesses, you can be punished if you get divorced for any other reason. So if you're a sister and your husband beats you, you cannot get divorced from your husband without being at least reproved and potentially disfellowship if you remarry, because the elders don't feel you have scriptural grounds to remarry. Amazing. So there's this quote from a 2012 Watchtower. And I don't know about any of my other fellow boomers in here, but when I see the year 2012, I'm like, oh yeah, just a couple years ago, 2012. And it's actually like 14 years ago. God damn it. So here's just a fun example of things that you can read in the Watchtower about abusive marriages. On one particular day, says Selma, I didn't want to have a Bible study. The night before, Steve had hit me as I tried to prove a point, and I was feeling sad and sorry for myself. After I told the sister what had happened and how I felt, she asked me to read 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 7. As I did, I began to reason, Steve never does any of these loving things for me. But the sister made me think differently by asking, how many of those acts of love do you show toward your husband? My answer was, none, for he is so difficult to live with. The sister softly said, Selma, who is trying to be a Christian here, you or Steve? She said it softly. Realizing that I needed to adjust my thinking, I prayed to Jehovah to help me be more loving towards Steve. Slowly, things started to change. And then after 17 years, Steve accepted the truth. So all she had to do was endure brutal physical attacks in her own home for 17 years, but it all worked out eventually. So this is the kind of just abuse, apologia, or apologia, depending on how you pronounce that word. Never been quite sure. And yeah, they do this shit all the time. Another fun thing, women have to wear head coverings if they are, how would they put it? We could just read it. And this is current. I mean, this is from 2017. They've not changed this. There may be times when a sister is asked to do something in the congregation that is normally done by a brother. When she does this work, she shows her respect for Jehovah's arrangement by wearing a head covering. But the need to cover her head applies only in certain situations. For example, a sister would wear something to cover her head if she conducts a Bible study when her husband or a baptized brother is present. Great. So, if you have to do something a man, under ideal circumstances, a man would be doing these things, but you, a woman, are forced to do it, just remember who's really in charge. The big man upstairs. He'll be really upset because he's looking down on you if he sees the top of your head, because it'll be a woman's head, and that'll infuriate him. So cover your head so that God's not all pissed when he looks down and sees some sister saying a prayer. Yeah, your scalp. Christina's doing homework. I told her, by the way, feel free to pop in whenever. I do want to make it clear that I did not ban my wife from the misogyny stream, as far as anyone knows or can prove. Christina says she's banning herself because just listening to me read this is making her mad. Wear a bra on your head. Yeah. So this is part of the reason why I thought it would be good to talk about all this shit, because, as a former Jehovah's Witness, I was married as a Jehovah's Witness and, left being married. But I don't think I appreciated for a while how much of this kind of misogyny I had internalized. I think when I was a witness, I viewed myself like, even though I was a witness incel boy, I was like, I'm a feminist, because I didn't agree with like the headship arrangement and the head covering stuff. And I thought women should be able to be elders. So I thought that was very progressive of me. It turns out, no, not really. So I think like women, men, we all have like certain internalized misogyny. It's going to be a problem if I can't say that word consistently. But like, that's something that we have to deconstruct on top of everything else. So I could not possibly go to this page of jwfacts without playing one of the most insane clips of all time. This is the sort of leak that now people, like witnesses, would probably try and dismiss it as being AI, but it's not. This predates the technology. I believe this is in a talk he gave in 1971. This is a recording of it. It's been on jwfacts for like over a decade. It's been on this website forever. It is one of the most infamous things in like the ex-JW community. Like when you wake up from your cult indoctrination and start going down the rabbit hole, this is just one of those things that you find and you're like, have you fucking seen that clip of Sam Hurd talking about women's skull size? Yeah, it'd be like that. That stuff before was only 99% incel. This is like 103%. So hopefully the audio will come through here.
You know, scientists say that the cranial capacity of a woman is 10% smaller than that of a man. So now this shows that she's just not equipped for the role of headship. Her role is one of subjection to the man. Her role is that of submissiveness, and that means that she should recognize that she is a woman and be glad to be. Never want to be what you are not equipped to be. But we'll hear a sister say, oh, if I were an elder, I'd show them a thing or two. Or sometimes we hear them say, oh, if I were a man, I do this and I do that. As if to be wishing to be something that he's not designed to be.
This clip's kind of amazing for obvious reasons. He works in some bananas queer phobia on top of everything else, but he also kind of makes this gender essentialist argument, which of course Witness is also believed, but he's like, the very act of saying that you would do things differently if you were an elder is you expressing some gay desire to be a man. His reasoning, not mine. I should let him speak. I should let the man speak.
Do you know what that borders on? That borders on homosexuality. And you know what the devil is doing nowadays? He's taking women who want to be men. He makes men out of it. And you know what else he's doing? He's taking men who want to be women, and he's making women out of it. And it's spreading.
It's spreading. Even in 1971, the transness was spreading. Sam Hurd is like the original Chaya Rai chick. This guy sucks. This quote is so absurd, it's almost funny. Almost. But I think the rest of it is so crazy.
It's not a little thing. But homosexuality is something that is spreading, and it's all over the earth. It's not just here, San Francisco and Oakland, but it's everywhere. But it all begins with a thought. Somewhere, individuals have wanted to be what they are not designed to be.
Now, what's so bizarre about this is that, as has been covered in previous videos, in fact, I think I get into it in the Revelation book artwork one that I just put out, if you haven't seen that. But the governing body believe that they will be turned into genderless, asexual creatures in heaven, because in heaven, there's neither male nor female. So Sam Hurd does not believe he's going to be a man. He desires, his grand hope for the future is to become a different gender than he is now. But if you do that on Earth in your brain, because it starts with a thought, he said, and not the kind that you or I might be thinking about, just thinking that you might do something differently than a man means that you're on the road to Gay Town, USA, population U. I'm so sorry. So sorry. Yeah. So because we have smaller hands, we can't be head of the family. What a stupid argument, especially when you see how many single moms are out there. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. I think witnesses have this sense that even like single moms need to have like a spiritual man in their life. And that's why it's so important for them to bring their kids to the meeting so that the elders, some elder can be a spiritual dad to the kids. Well, that's what's so funny, right? This talk is from 1971. Everything he's saying here, if he said it today, would obviously still be shocking and gross, but they don't believe any differently. This idea that homosexuality, oh, it's spreading and it's so bad. What has all this fear-mongering done? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's the same old shit every time. And this is before people base their whole identity on hating trans people. So now he can just fold that into his existing shittiness. But if there are any witnesses watching who are like, oh, but maybe that's fake or staged or something, it's not real, we can't even see his face, it might be AI or somebody like me doing a great impression. First of all, thank you. Second of all, he's basing his comments on a talk that at the time he gave it was only a few years old. It's from this 1967 Awake article, and it says, in part, the female skull is lighter and its cranial capacity is about 10% smaller than that of the male, even as is the rest of the anatomy. The writing has always been top-notch. That is in the best interests of both sexes for man to take the lead is also supported by psychological evidence. It's just common sense, guys. It's just logical. One of New York City's leading psychiatrists and psychoanalysts, Dr. Marie N. Robinson, in one of her books, which deals with certain frustrations of married women. What an introduction. Holy shit. That was like 9 preambles to introducing Marie Robinson. She skillfully demonstrates by case histories that many of these particular frustrations can be ended if women will but recognize the fact that the way their bodies are made gives evidence that it is intended for man to be the head. That's a fucking hell of a sentence. I'm going to try and say that again. All at once. Ready? One of New York City's leading psychiatrists and psychoanalysts, Dr. Marie N. Robinson, in one of her books, which deals with certain frustrations of married women, skillfully demonstrates by case histories that many of these particular frustrations can be ended if women will but recognize the fact that the way their bodies are made gives evidence that it is intended for man to be the head. What fucking psychotic incel manifesto is this? Breathless. As she expressed it, women must learn the art of eternal acquiescence and deep altruism in dealing with their husbands if they want to find happiness. Hey, papi. Great. Good. Glad that we have that on the record. So this is who this organization is. It's what this organization is, no matter what they try and tell you in this shitty ass thing. Did you like hearing that?
Is that woman who they used as a resource, like some weird incel herself? Because when did it become a woman's responsibility to make sure that everybody was happy, including herself?
Well, I don't think that picked up on Mike, but Christina was asking, when did it become a woman's responsibility to make sure that everybody is happy to the expense of herself, basically? And it's a good question. You'll have to ask Dr. Marie such and such from 1967.
She's probably dead.
Probably, and hopefully dead. Marie, write into the show and explain yourself if you're still alive. If you're still cursing us with your presence.
Yeah. Certainly a curse. That's for sure. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. Hey, unlike Watchtower, women are welcome to stroll in here and say whatever they like. So far, it's mostly just been Christina and Peaches. Those are the two ladies that come into the streams. Okay, study article 52. Does that mean the 52nd study article they've ever done? How do they count these? I don't know. I've never looked into that. So I've not actually read this. Let's read this introduction and see how bad this is. So yes, little trigger warning going forward. I probably should have given it at the top. I guess I figured the title kind of gave the intent of what the stream was going to be. And I was going to say, I really need to get better about providing content warnings. Sometimes it's hard to do on a stream when I don't always know what I'm going to talk about, but I definitely did this time and I still didn't. So, okay. It picked up on Mike. Good deal. What about trans women? How will they deal with that? Do they have to apply the same rule, or is it because they're biologically male? Yeah, the correspondence guidelines, I think I talked about it in an old video I did about homophobia, but I read part of this. I'm just talking out loud to try and remind myself where it's from. It's from the correspondence guidelines, basically something that the branch offices of Jehovah's Witnesses are given. If there's ever questions about weird specific subjects, how are they to respond? And one of them was about this subject. Like, what if a trans person starts studying? And what it essentially says is that somebody would have to detransition to be accepted as a member in good standing. They would have to go back to how they were assigned at birth. So that, as far as I know, is still the doctrine. I don't think we've had any new light on that. That would be a little surprising if they were suddenly super inclusive. Then again, I don't know how many trans people are looking to join Jehovah's Witnesses anyway. I don't know. Okay, now please write in the chat and let me know if there's any fun voices I should do while I read these paragraphs. Sorry that the energy has been so sleepy and sloppy. We had friends over last night. I'll say it. We had gay friends over last night. 2 bisexuals, 2 gays, 4 gays together in one room. And we watched Hellraiser. And we smoked pot. Or I did. So we had a pretty satanic evening, I have to say. Anyway, to grow to Christian maturity, what must we do? We are amazed, and I love when we're told what we already are. We are amazed at how quickly a child grows into an adult. This growth seems to take place automatically. Yeah, growth does seem almost automatic. It seems almost like human growth. Anyway, however, growing to Christian maturity is by no means automatic. Footnote: to reach that goal, we need a deep personal relationship with Jehovah. We also need his Holy Spirit as we cultivate. Hey, this isn't about women. What the fuck? Expressions explains. Hey, this is something I try to do in my content, Watchtower. Someone who has reached Christian maturity is guided by God's Spirit, not by worldly wisdom. He or she imitates Jesus' example, works hard to maintain a close relationship with Jehovah, and shows self-sacrificing love for others. I don't know why I jumped in that voice. That's Christian maturity, baby. And as we all know, Jehovah made humans to be male or female. SJWs out there, not both. Or whatever. Obviously, men and women are physically different, but they are different in other ways as well. For example, Jehovah made men and women to fulfill specific roles, so they need qualities and skills that will help them to carry out their respective assignments. In this article, we will consider what a young sister can do to become a mature Christian man. In the following article, we will consider what young brothers can do. Oh, good. Men, too. Don't worry, fellas. We haven't forgotten about you. Okay. So, yeah, they do their thing where they're like, oh, there's women in the Bible. There's women in the Bible. See? They're not all stoned to death. Some of them are just nice and have a good example for us to follow. Oh, hey, it's alt wifey. I think that women are drawn to this cult because they want to make sure their children or future children have a good future. Their maternal instincts overwhelm their critical thinking. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think, like a lot of things, and I know Christina and I have talked about this, like, you can internalize misogyny. Like, you're internalizing all this indoctrination. You're taught that it's the truth. And this is just one part of the truth. You know, you can't pick and choose which parts are true, really, without, inadvertently deconstructing your faith. So I think it's just seen as this virtue within the religion to follow direction, even or especially if you think it's unfair. Like what they constantly talk about, like, even if you don't understand the direction from the faithful slave, still follow it. And I remember during COVID, a lot of, like, my dad said this, and I heard some other elders say that, like, I think this is Jehovah preparing us for the Great Tribulation just to see if we're obedient, giving us things that we don't necessarily understand. We just have to fully trust in the brothers. And they see it as this virtue, like being a follower, being a sheep, refusing to have any self-determination or critical thinking or coming to your own conclusions. No, that's something that a satanic person would do. Amazing. The Bible mentions many remarkable women. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Young sisters, here's just a little suggestion in an article written by a man, by the way. You can't be in the writing department if you're a woman. So there's a bit of a conflict of interest here. Maybe. Young sisters, why not identify a few mature Christian women you know whose example you can imitate? Note their appealing qualities. Then consider how you can manifest them. In the following paragraphs, we will discuss 3 important qualities needed by mature women. So this is an article written by a man telling essentially young children, young women, how to be an adult woman that the man writing this article, would find desirable and appealing. Creepy. Very creepy. I'm going to also I know, right? Manifestation. This is something that's very new agey of them. You just have to manifest it. Or maybe they're thinking manifest destiny, which is not new agey. But I also don't really know what that means. Humility. We love talking about humility on Sunday service. This comes up a lot for reasons we'll talk about here. What voice should I do? Did anybody give me a voice suggestion? Droopy or Malenfant, says Christina. Oh, okay, that's what she saw. That's not necessarily what she wants. Oh boy, I haven't done Droopy Dog in a while. Humility. I think that's good. A droopy dog. Yeah, it's sort of like that. Humility is an important aspect of Christian maturity. That's going to be so annoying to listen to. If a woman is humble, I can do Malenfant. If a woman is humble, she will enjoy a good relationship with Jehovah and with others. For example, a woman who loves Jehovah humbly chooses to support the principle of headship that her Heavenly Father established. That principle has specific applications in the congregation and in the family arrangement. I think that Ken Flodine is almost a mixture of William Malenfant and Droopy. Because he kind of has this kind of, like, he's doing a little bit of a Droopy Dog, a little bit of Patton Oswalt, doing a fat guy character that he does in his stand-up. Sorry, I'm working this out in real time. I'm making connections. Making connections between voices. I also don't know what that means. Okay, so humility, as used by the organization, is always used in place of subservience. Like, to them, humility doesn't mean, like, don't think too highly of yourself or be self-aggrandizing. Like, it means that, but it just means listening to what the higher-ups say no matter what, and always remembering your place. Remember your place. And you will learn your place, young Padawan. I believe that was Anakin being scolded by Obi-Wan in Attack of the Clones. Okay, so what I thought was interesting about this language was a woman who loves Jehovah humbly chooses to support the principle of headship that her Heavenly Father established. There's so much, like, loaded, pressurizing language in this. Like, okay, if you really love Jehovah, you're going to choose to support the principle of headship. That, who made that again? Oh yeah, your Heavenly Father, God. And you're going to do it humbly, by the way, not begrudgingly. So it's just like telling you, if you're actually a good person who doesn't want to die in Armageddon, this is the shit you're going to do. Your lips to God's ears. Oh man. Let's save stand-up talk for the spicy half. If you're new to the streams, we talk about drama at the end when most people have filtered out and nobody watches. So I can get away with it. It's a sneaky plan. Obama. I used to have a decent Obama. I'm trying to think. Oh shit. It's not good. It's not going to be good to do it on the spot. Consider the example of Rebecca. She was an intelligent and decisive woman who took the initiative in appropriate ways throughout her life. It's something like that. Modesty. What I need to get is a Biden. He has such a interesting voice, charming cadence. But I can't quite figure it out. Like I don't want to be mean because he has a stutter, but he also just has the old man mumbles, and it's hard to figure out exactly what's interesting about his voice. I don't know. Like Trump is very easy to do. He sounds like a cartoon character. Anyway, modesty, which we saw in the intro clip that I played about like dress and grooming, a little too Southern. Yeah, that's just my natural Ohio accent coming out. I did throw in a little Southern accent. Damn it. Sorry, this is now becoming a stream about what impressions I can do and me trying to figure them out in real time. Okay. Modesty. So we saw in the intro about dress and grooming, how clothes are made to appear sexy. The way he says that is so creepy, and he really lingers afterwards. I show it a few times in the like jw.org out of context video I made. Modesty is another quality that all mature Christians need. The Bible says that wisdom is with the modest ones. So they cited their source, Proverbs 11:2. Esther was a modest, godly woman. Her modesty protected her from acting presumptuously. Oh, what a sin that would be, to presume something to be true. She listened to the advice of her older cousin Mordecai and followed it. Mordecai seems like a man. You can demonstrate similar modesty by seeking out and applying good advice. So modesty means listening to men and doing what they say. She listened to advice from this guy named Mordecai and followed it. And you can be modest by also doing that exact same thing. Oh, she was beautifully formed and attractive in appearance. Unzip. She sounds like a real catch. Yet, she did not draw undue attention to herself. No, she didn't wear sexy clothing or show the cleave. How can a Christian woman benefit from Esther's example? One way is highlighted, blah, 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 blah. The Apostle Paul instructed Christian women, ally, famously an ally and a feminist, the Apostle Paul, he instructed Christian women to dress with modesty and soundness of minds. The Greek words used here suggest that a Christian woman's dress would be respectable and would show consideration for the feelings or opinions of others. How we admire our mature Christian sisters for dressing modestly. Oh, we admire it, and how we admire it. Gasp. Bold words, those. Beautifully formed like a poo. Oh, yes. Yes. See, sadly, like, this kind of language is still very popular. I mean, like, evangelical Christianity is kind of dying. There was that Pew Research poll that came out recently that showed that I think they call this demographic like the nuns or the nots, the have-nots. But like the amount of people who don't affiliate themselves with any particular religion is growing quite a bit. And I think what you see these hardline biblical literalists, kind of puritanical Christian theocrats do is they know that they've lost this game. So all they can do is dig their heels in and just go fully mask off. And Watchtower is kind of trying to have it both ways. They're trying to be like, no, we're not sexist. Look at how hot Esther was because she listened to what Paul told her to do, unquestioningly. This is my little fan theory, which Watchtower likes. They write fan fiction about the Bible characters all the time. They have whole books based on this. My theory was that Paul's thorn in the flesh was that he was horny, that he just liked to spank it on the regs. And that's why he was so freaked out about what women wear and not wearing too much makeup and jewelry. And not talking even. I think his thorn in the flesh was that he had a big old boner, and that's why he was so concerned about circumcision. He had a lot of thoughts about what the best kind of dick was. I don't know. So, sound off in chat, see if that holds up. Discernment. This is a very JW word, discernment. This is another one that I find slipping into my speech. Slipping into my speech, I said. Discernment is another quality that all mature Christian sisters demonstrate. Now, this is nice. This is the no true Scotsman fallacy that they just kind of slid in here. Much like discernment was sliding into my speech earlier. So it's like, if you are not a discerning woman, then you are not, by definition, a mature Christian. You're just not. So this is how they can get away. Like, Watchtower does this all the time with a lot of different things. How, like, anybody, especially on TikTok, I see this, any ex-Jehovah's Witness talking about their experience. For example, Jenny Bloom, who you can follow on TikTok. They, like, witnesses will find it, or, it finds them because it's TikTok. And in the algorithm, they'll be like, well, no, that's not right. No real Jehovah's Witness would act like that. Because in their mind, they're like, well, what that witness did sounds bad. So they must not have really been a witness at all. And that's kind of what Watchtower does in their CSA cases, too, is they're like, well, anybody who would abuse children in that way was never a real Jehovah's Witness. So they don't really count. And any witness who acts gay, does gay shit, they're not a real witness either. So we can just say that we don't have any gay people. But anyway, to read this comment, that type of rhetoric and putting blame on women just radicalizes men to feel justified to commit abuse. And our judicial system also views crime against women as no big deal. Yeah, no kidding. Did anybody watch the fucking Fonnie Willis fucking sham circus parade? That was absolutely nuts. I don't know how the legal system works, but I feel like the judge should have stopped that from happening. It's just people, just these weirdos probing this woman about her sexual history with a guy. It's very uncomfortable. But yeah, I think this is a real problem. And it's a problem everywhere, like kind of young men being radicalized by this weird patriarchal content. And it can come in a secular form too. Like, Andrew Tate is now kind of pretending that he is religious. I think he talks about Jesus, or is it Islam? I think he's had some fake bullshit conversion or something. But his entire appeal is more like, with his fake British accent, was like, oh, it's all about biology, mate. Women just need to shut up because that's what science and evolution made them to do. I don't know. But it comes at young men from both sides, both these like religious zealots who have this holy book to fall back and support their misogynistic beliefs. But then there's also just these manosphere influencers who use kind of this, I don't know, evolutionary psychology, pseudoscience bullshit to get to the men are greater than women thing. And it doesn't help, because like any man leaving the Jehovah's Witnesses is going to have to unpack this stuff. And you break out of a cult where you're not really taught critical thinking. In fact, you're taught the opposite. And then suddenly maybe you've been avoiding social media because you've been avoiding seeing stuff by apostates, but now you're just watching all of it. And it's easy to see how certain XJW guys get wrapped up in this woman-hatey bullshit. It's very cringe. Yeah, exactly. People like him see an opportunity and they're seizing it. Not a lot of good role models for young men these days. Yeah, it's by the way, I've been thinking about making a playlist just for like videos that I like, that I think are good videos, but they don't actually have anything to do with Jehovah's Witnesses specifically. And one of them I found fairly recently is by FD Signifier, who's a great YouTuber. He had a video he just released another one on incels. He's done a lot of videos on the manosphere. I think he's a great example for like young men, but he had one on what was it? Like, I think it's called like What Do Women Like About Men or something like that. And man, like that was food at the proper time for me. Like I learned a lot about my own issues from watching that. Anyway, check out FT Signifier if you want a opposite Watchtower study. Oh God, I'm glad that people in chat are keeping me sane. Oh boy. Well, people in my comments are definitely not following this advice. How can you benefit yourself and others by reading and writing well? Ooh, this I did not see coming. I did not think that this was going to be part of the article. Weird. A Christian woman needs to develop practical skills. Some skills that a girl learns in childhood will continue to benefit her throughout her life. Consider a few examples. First of all, isn't this just all human beings? Like, of course, all people should have some practical skills. And of course, things that you learn in childhood could benefit you later in life. Like, this isn't only in Jehovah's organization because you learn something like that practical skills are practical and helpful. Learn to read and write well. In some cultures, reading and writing are not considered to be important skills for women to learn. However, they are essential skills for every Christian. You know who was illiterate? Was every follower of Jesus Christ. None of them could read or write for the most part, right? I mean, they were all kind of unlettered and ordinary people. Probably especially the women at the time who were gatekept from learning and reading and writing. So do not allow any obstacle to stop you from learning to read and write well. How will you be rewarded? Such skills may help you to find and keep a job. You will become a better student and teacher of God's word. Best of all, you will draw closer to Jehovah as you read his word and meditate on it. Like, they specifically just want you to learn to read so that you can read Watchtower materials. But also, yeah, I mean, most jobs you got to be able to read, right? So there you go. It's kind of odd. Watchtower has a weird relationship with literacy. I know I've brought this up the last couple weeks just because it's been on my mind, but like, I don't know. There's a big issue with literacy worldwide. There's especially an issue in conservative church communities and even outside of Jehovah's Witnesses. But Jehovah's Witnesses, kind of being this closed community, have it too, that I think goes under discussed. I've seen some people talking about it on TikTok, but there's a lot of homeschooling that happens that is very unprofessional. Like, it's not real homeschooling. It's just like JW parents pulling their kids out of school so that they can pioneer full time and drag their kids along in the ministry with them, because theocratic education is the best education, you see. This is so weird to me. I have so many mixed feelings about this. What's chat saying? What do I make of this? First of all, Christina and I talk about this a lot, but when we were engaged, we were encouraged by a couple in the congregation to study the like family book together. It's some book that's apparently from the 90s that they asked us to study together to get ready for our roles, our divinely assigned roles in the marriage. And we read it, and even though it was written in like the late 90s, it was like some days, I'm gonna start over. Sometimes in today's busy environments, women need to leave the kitchen and join the workforce. This was like in chapter 1. So we didn't make it much further than that. Yeah, exactly. I know. Okay, I wasn't sure whether or not to say this, but Christina just said it for the other room. We ended up just making out. We ended up reading like one page of this and making out, and then my mom came in to check and make sure we were studying, which we were not. So anyway, this is really bizarre. This is a very good point. As women, we also get to be judgmental against other women who do not follow the same doctrine. So that's another kind of ego thing about being in a cult, is you get to judge other people about like, oh, I'm being more obedient than that person. And you're right. There is a lot of that among women. Like a lot of the policing of outfits and clothes won't come from the elders specifically, but like elders' wives who pride themselves on, I don't know, abandoning their free will and humanity in service of cult/publishing companies. So they like being judgmental of other people, and they like that shit. The guy I was dating, and I read that book, and we stopped at the part where they said oral sex was a no-no. Yeah, that also, there's a lot of reasons why that one didn't stick for us. Had to block my family, just too toxic. Well, thank you for the super chat. I'm very sorry that you had to do that. I understand. I've had to block my parents like at various times, and then usually I'll just unblock them after a while, but sometimes I just know. Anyway, okay. Learn to read and write well. In some cultures, reading and writing are not considered to be important skills for women to learn. However, they are essential skills for every Christian. This seems kind of ableist to me. Like, what if they can't because they have a developmental disability? I don't know. So do not allow any obstacle to stop you from learning to read and write well. How will you be rewarded? Such skills. Oh, wait, did I fucking just read this? I really did. Holy shit. Okay, sorry about that. But I did want to talk about the ableism thing. Like, what if you can't? What if you just can't because of reasons? Well, too bad, I guess. You just won't be as good as the other Christians. You won't be a true Christian if you can't read and write. Jehovah just won't love you quite as much as he loves everyone else. Develop good communication skills. Ladies, you listening? This is what a Christian woman needs to do. Christians need to communicate effectively. In this regard, the disciple James, not a woman, as far as I know, provides practical counsel for us, saying, everyone must be quick to listen, slow to speak. I've been speaking pretty slow on this broadcast. When you listen carefully as others speak, you show empathy or fellow feeling for them. If you are not sure that you understand what a person is saying or how he feels, ask appropriate questions. Then take a moment to think before you speak. Ask yourself, is what I am about to say true and upbuilding? Is it tactful and kind? Learn from mature sisters who are good communicators. This is the most infantilizing, basic ass bullshit. Sweetie, you need to ask yourself, are you about to be mean or are you about to say something nice? And don't be so quick to speak. Like, this is advice for little babies. Some people like this, though. I don't know. But, like, how is this any different from shit that you would find in, like, any boring self-help book? Other than there's more scriptures cited. I guess that is the difference. They use the name Jehovah. And that makes it magically amazing. Learn to manage a home. Now there's the Watchtower I know and love. In many places. I'm trying to put on a deep man voice. It's difficult for me. Oh, God, my phone's ringing and it's ringing on the screen and I can't stop it. God damn it, that keeps happening. Folks, I'm sorry. This is a deeply unprofessional stream, and I'll delete it instantly. This will never air. It's not airing now. True streams, mature Christian streams, don't have that kind of thing happening. Anyway, we're learning how to manage a home. In many places, women carry much of the load. Of running a household. Your mother or another capable sister. Don't leave my mother out of this. Your mom or another capable sister may be able to help you learn the needed skills. A sister named Cindy says, one of the most valuable gifts my mom gave me was teaching me the joy that comes from hard work. Learning such skills as cooking, cleaning, sewing, and shopping made my life easier and opened the way for me to do more in Jehovah's service. Shopping opened the way for her to do more in Jehovah's service? Christina has something to say.
The fact that
you can come closer and not be on camera if you don't want to be.
The fact that her examples of being trained in hard work are so very feminine in
women's work.
nature.
Yeah.
Notice she didn't go like, my mom taught me how to like
go
to like
hit a nail into a piece of wood.
Just like how
fix a tire.
How everything is just so very like male and female dominated.
Yes.
And there's no like cross contamination.
Right. They just are unironically like, well, obviously women cook and clean and shop.
Yeah.
Across all cultures, societies, forever and all time. This is a global organization, but we all know women be shopping.
Women be shopping.
They do, unless they're poor. In which case, they have no choice but to not shop.
That's a limiting factor.
I had a problem with that as one because I like shopping.
Are you a woman?
These are the questions I ask myself every day. It's good to check in with your gender every now and then.
Well, since it's a social construct.
That's right. Christina's in school for social work right now, so she's teaching me all kinds of things. Unironically, she's reading a lot of like smart people books and study, and now she's dancing, kind of mocking me, like I'm smarter than you. But it's true. So I'm being cucked over here. I'm not educated, and my wife is. You don't see me complaining about it, except for right now. No, anyway, this is very cringe. A diligent hospital. Oh, wait. We missed something important. Mom also taught me how to be hospitable, and this allowed me to meet wonderful brothers and sisters whose examples I could imitate. A diligent, hospitable woman who has learned to manage a home is a powerful force for good in her family and in the congregation. Diligent and hospitable. Diligent in shopping, cooking, wiping the baby's butt. Amazing. He really is just like, just listen to what men say. I mean, this is really, it's the only reason I'm not shopping. I know. This is the only thing that stops us from shopping. This was clearly written by very old white men whose experience outside of Bethel ended like in the 1980s or 90s. Like they're just talking about like managing a home. Like, motherfuckers, we cannot afford a home in this economy, in this market place of ideas. Okay, but also be self-sufficient. So you have to be a mommy. Sam Hurd's favorite word, which I once again forgot to pull the clip. I do have one good clip, though. Yeah. That's always good. That's what Sam Hurd has to be behind a little bit of this article, right? It's being self-sufficient. You have to take care of your man, but you also can't expect too much of him. You have to be self-sufficient. It's an important goal for all mature Christians. A sister named Crystal says, my parents, sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. My parents were involved in choosing which courses I would take in high school so that I would learn practical skills. My father urged me to take accounting classes, which proved to be invaluable. In addition to learning skills needed to obtain secular work, try to learn how to make a budget and stick to it. Keep your focus on spiritual goals by avoiding unnecessary debt and by being content with a simple lifestyle. You know, this is another one of those things that's like not necessarily like this last part is not necessarily bad advice. Like, yeah, making a budget and sticking to it and not accumulating debt. Good advice. You could find that advice on Instagram right now without joining a cult. Like, it's just not that fucking hard. What could go wrong when old white men seclude themselves for decades surrounded by sycophants? It's a mystery. It's a mystery. And yet they complain all the time about the perception that they're out of touch. Like that, David Splane brought that up in his amazing apostate rant or anti-apostate rant, where he's like, you know, some of these apostates, they imply that we're out of touch, which, oh boy, I really hate this. I hate parents involved in choosing which courses to take. Like the only respite I had as a Jehovah's Witness in school was like my senior year, which before leaving the Jehovah's Witnesses is probably the happiest I had ever been, very sadly. But my senior year in school, I was able to, like, I had finished a lot of the courses I needed, and I had done this thing that a lot of witnesses do, but it's a good program where you can kind of take some courses at a local community college and get like college credit and high school credit. So I did that. So I like was commuting and taking like literature classes at Columbus State, which was nice because it was a little bit more like in depth than the high school classes. I was able to take a bunch of art classes. I was able to take like AP art. I was able to take like world history. I was able to do so much stuff that I just genuinely liked and cared about as a person. And as a result, I made a lot more friends. Like I actually had friends at school for the first time that year. And that was like the only year of my entire life in school that was fun. All the rest of it was totally miserable because I was a Jehovah's Witness who wasn't allowed to be a normal kid. And so the idea of parents taking away this choice, I really don't like it. I'm sure that my parents today at their meeting are reading this like, that's where we went wrong. We let Jake take those art classes. We let him take that creative writing course. That's why he's dead to us now. Probably. Maybe they're saying that. Prepare for future roles. Role playing, you say? In this economy? How do single sisters benefit others? What a creepy transactional way to describe a just demographic of human. This kind of human is beneficial to other humans. Okay. When you develop spiritual qualities and valuable skills, computer hacking skills and bow hunting skills, you will be better equipped for future roles. You could remain single for a time. Not too long now. Just a time. In harmony with Jesus' words, some women choose not to marry, even if singleness is discouraged in their culture. Others may remain single because of circumstances. For example, the lack of decent dick around, or because the circumstance is that they're not attracted to men, and the only way they can get married is to a man. Be assured that Jehovah and Jesus do not look down on single Christians. You know, after all, they're single dudes, batching it up in heaven. But that's nice to know. Just because you're single doesn't mean God loves you less. Just don't ever fuck up in any way. Around the world, single sisters are a positive influence on the congregation. Their love for and sincere interest in others motivate these Christian women to become spiritual sisters and spiritual mothers to many. That seems like such a strong statement about all single women. Hashtag not all single women, I'm going to say. That really is the subtext. Listen, if you're not going to marry any of us, at least be useful. Put yourself to work. Build some of our buildings. Clean up after the hall. You could become a full-time servant. Do full-time unpaid labor for the patriarchy. I know you think it's already bad that you have to work in the patriarchy to begin with, but what if you also didn't get paid and you were told that you were a weaker vessel the whole time? Does that sound good to you? Christian women have a tremendous impact on the worldwide preaching work. Can you plan now to enter the full-time ministry? Now, they just asked a question, but I feel like they're implying that there's a correct answer to that. I don't know. You might serve as a a pioneer, a construction volunteer, or a Bethelite. Pray about your goal. Talk to others who have reached such a goal and find out what you need to do to qualify. Then make a realistic plan. Don't dream too big, kids. I know your plan is to sweep and vacuum and scrub toilets at Bethel for free for a living in a cult compound, but be realistic about getting there. I know it's a big dream, but Jehovah can help you. But he's not magic or anything, God. You can't just magically make things happen. Your realistic plan has to seem a lot like you doing all of the work with no divine influence whatsoever. Thanks. I hate it. So, if you're considering marriage, you should choose your marriage mate very carefully. We'll read the paragraph associated with this, but this picture is amazing. Hey, thanks for the blessing, Colder Pizza. Oh, I know. All single women have the potential of succeeding by becoming a spiritual mother. Hey, even if you can't have real kids, you can at least just be nice in the congregation. And that's like being a spiritual mom, kind of weird. So, one fun thing about the way Bethel does like videos and artwork is that like if there's a couple portrayed, if there's like a married couple in a movie or even a dating couple, they have to be married in real life. They both have to be married to each other and in good standing. So I say all this because this mature Christian sister, or is she a young sister? I don't know, is keeping an eye on what this guy's doing. This guy right here. He kind of looks like the guy, short guy with the glasses in What We Do in the Shadows, that show. So they're probably married in real life. Power couple right here. She's looking at that grip, that two-handed grip. She's wondering what else he might be able to sweep up. Her? Off her feet, maybe? I don't know. You may choose to get married. Thanks. It's nice that they granted permission. The qualities and skills that we have discussed will help you become a capable wife. Of course, if you are considering marriage, you should choose your mate very carefully. It is one of the most important decisions you will ever make. Remember, you will come under the headship of the man you marry. So ask yourself, is he a mature Christian? Is he putting spiritual interest first in his life? Does he make wise decisions? Can he admit his mistakes? Does he respect women? Oh, they snuck that one in there. I wasn't ready for that. I was excited about reading all these super quickly. Does he have the skills needed to support me spiritually, materially, and emotionally? Does he handle responsibility well? For example, what congregation assignments does he have, and how does he handle them? Of course, if you want to find a good prospective husband, you need to be a good prospective wife. Maybe nobody's married you because you suck. You ever thought about that? Maybe you're just not good wife material. This is really gross, obviously. There's a couple of things that are interesting about this. Like he says, does he respect women? But of course, you must remember that Watchtower views this article as respectful of women. So their definition of respecting women would be disrespecting women by worldly standards. So the ceiling is low, I think is what I'm saying there. And like what they think of as like emotional support is very different from what, say, a marriage counselor might consider good emotional support. And handling responsibility well means, you know, how much free labor is he doing for the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society? And I find this interesting. It's kind of like the organization dangling sex above people and being like, brothers, if you want to find a good wife, you have to be desirable to her. So you should do more work for the Watchtower. You should become a full-time servant, reach out to be a ministerial servant. You should be a pioneer, do a bunch of free labor for us. The ladies will find that attractive, and men, it's the same way. They're supposed to look for women who are fully committed to the group. So it kind of creates this culture where, you know, marriage is like heavily gate kept, but also the only way that you can ever have sex or even nut legally. Like, because you're not allowed to jerk it. You're not allowed to be doing that stuff. Can you tell that I'm not particularly comfortable talking about sex in any real way? I'm really not. 90% of the local elders and ministerial servants of my age in my area have been divorced and remarried. Well, that's the other thing is like, for all their big talk, it would be really interesting to see data on how many people actually get married or sorry, actually get divorced. Oh, but also marriage vows within the org only make women vow to respect their husbands. Women only have to promise to love their wives. Ooh. I don't think I knew that or noticed that. I mean, I got married in a Kingdom Hall. We had the JW vows, but yeah, that clearly I clearly, as a Jehovah's Witness guy, wasn't paying attention to that language. That's very intriguing. If anybody has like a link to the talk outline for weddings, that would be really interesting to see. Yeah, I wonder what Watchtower even means by respecting women, not hitting them. Yeah, I mean, they don't like. Okay, so this is something I've talked about a lot with a friend of the channel, My Little Pimo. We're both obsessed with the guy in the Wife of Lot drama. So I've also talked about with Christina on the channel. If we've watched the first 2 parts, we need to do the grand finale, right? Babe, we didn't finish the Lot movie, did we? I think we still have 1 part left. But we've talked about like you're not supposed to be like loud and angry and domineering overtly. You're not supposed to appear like a cartoon domineering husband. That would be bad. But if you look at the way that the example of a good husband in the Wife of Lot video acts, he does this kind of like negging, this constantly like condescending guilt trip tone. It's like, oh, but sweetie, don't you think about Jehovah? How do you think Jehovah's going to feel about that? Our daughters have to. It's this really cloying beta cuck attitude. No, but it's still controlling and domineering and disrespectful, but it's just coded in this more nice adjacent exterior, I guess. I don't know. People are saying that Elliot is saying something good. The husband is asked to love her. The wife is asked to love and deeply respect. Oh, that's very interesting. I thought it is cherish in there as well, or is that worldly wedding vows? To love and to cherish. You know, it's a fucking bummer. We like, I mean, I guess I assume Christina feels the same way, but like, we can't watch our wedding video. We've got it. I don't feel emotionally ready to watch it because everybody that was there, including the guy who gave her talk, everybody in both, like in the wedding party, what's it called? The bridal party and the groomsmen, we were shunned by all of them. We don't have a relationship with any of those people. So it's just sad. So we haven't even gone back and watched it. So I would say that this organization is not particularly good for marriages. Oh, well, hang on a second. Okay. This is important. This is addressing the sexism allegations, I believe. The Bible says that a good wife is a helper for her husband and a complement of him. Is this a demeaning description? Let me try that again. Is this a demeaning description? No! No! Exclamation point. A wife's role as a helper is a dignified one. In fact, the Bible often describes Jehovah as a helper. Ever think about that? Does it ever describe Jehovah as a weaker vessel or a whore who deserves to be murdered? I don't think so. A wife is a true helper to her husband when she supports him and helps him to implement decisions that affect the family. And because she loves Jehovah, she works to enhance her husband's reputation. Oh my God. You can prepare for this possible future role by deepening your love for Jehovah and by being a helper to others at home and in the congregation. Oof. I hate this. I hate this for a million reasons. Oh my God. I just realized we've been going for an hour and 19 minutes. I wasn't even thinking that I would go through every paragraph. So I probably said that earlier. Turns out that was a fucking lie. Just thinking about the same thing, man. Turned off our wedding photos from playing on our TV. Everyone there shunning us. I know. It's awful. We've got a couple nice engagement photos. We've got a couple pictures of us, just us together on our wedding day that we have. But yeah, anything with the bridal party, it's sad. Like we've got one framed picture of us with our parents. And every time I pass it, it's like, okay. Yeah, they said no. So there you go. I know you think that sounds demeaning, but it's not. Nah. That's it. Nuh-uh. They pulled out the nuh-uh defense. Okay. So the really crazy language that I thought was here helps him implement decisions that affect the family. This is very sneaky language. You will notice a wife does not get to make the decisions. She helps the husband implement his decisions. She can disagree and voice her disagreements, but the man wins in the end, no matter what. And no matter what, she has to support the decision. And because she loves Jehovah, she works to enhance her husband's reputation. This is really bizarre and makes more sense when you remember that men who are Jehovah's Witnesses wrote this article. They want their own wives to enhance their reputation. You know, like imagine if I was in like the editor-in-chief of a magazine with 8 million subscribers and I wrote an article about how women need to respect their husbands. Like it probably wouldn't be taken super seriously, right? It'd be like, oh wow, that's kind of self-serving and gross. But they just do this all the time. The idea of enhancing the husband's reputation. It doesn't even give any caveats to this. Like even if your husband sucks, you should still enhance his reputation. So that's cool. And hey, you could become a mother. After you marry, you and your husband might have children. I mean, you can't get an abortion, so chances are high. Thus, it is wise to think ahead. The qualities and skills that we have discussed in this article will help you if you become a wife and mother. Your love, kindness, and patience will contribute to a warm home environment where your children will feel secure and are likely to flourish. Here's something that I find kind of sad about this is like, you know, now my mom is going to be studying this today, or if she hasn't already. And I had a great mom. She was wonderful, is a wonderful person. And she was a great mom who was also, a good Jehovah's Witness in good standing. She did all of this. She did have, she made sure that we were in a warm, peaceful home. And yet, like, it didn't like all work out because I became an apostate, because you can't control what your children believe. You can't make them believe something that they don't believe, or you can for a while, but none of this is a guarantee that you'll be happy. Aren't worldly families who maybe are a little messy, but they don't have to shun anybody, aren't they like happier than families who are Jehovah's Witnesses, but they have to shun their children? I don't know. Maybe. Sorry, just catching up with chat. Just like how the helper Jehovah just kind of has to accept whatever we decide. Oh, wait. Yeah. Consider this. If you disagree with the word of Jehovah, I am permitted to hit you with my right hand. Oh, no. The last thing. Okay. How do we feel about our sisters and why? Imagine having to ask this question. How do we feel about women, everybody? Our sisters. So yeah, this doesn't expand to all women, by the way. Women outside the organization, men, treat them like shit. Who cares? Treat them like shit. Harbor any kind of horrible feelings towards women you want. But our sisters, we love them. We love you, sisters, for all that you do for Jehovah and his people. They're just able to say this because they speak like Unity from Rick and Morty. They're the collective. Oh, look at this little note. You, dear young sisters, are valued in the congregation. You can reach Christian maturity by cultivating godly qualities, developing practical skills, and preparing to take on future roles. Okay. Weird. Well, what did we learn today, class? That Watchtower is gross and sucks? Yeah, belief isn't a choice, it's a consequence of the information you have, correct or otherwise. Yeah. Well, the second one's about men, apparently. Oh, no. Is it dial or delay? Yeah, young sisters. Old sisters? You're shit out of luck. Oh, yeah. Let's get a little sneak peek, a little sneak preview. Young brothers, become mature Christian men. Not an incel. Be like this guy right here. You can have the top button unbuttoned if you have a neck-high undershirt. Let's just look at the pictures. This is the kind of guy you want to be. They have this publication, which is their learning to read and write publication that they make. I haven't seen that in the wild in a while. I didn't know if they even still printed that. I've been interested in doing a video on literacy at some point this year. So let's see. Well, this guy, he does construction, does man's work. And this guy sets the plates. This guy sets the plates. Well, we know he learned everything you have to learn about men. I don't know. I find this to be profoundly sad. Does this look like a happy person to you? This looks like a meme of a person like pretending to be happy but undergoing terrible pain. And yet I laughed when I said it. So I don't know. Hey, like the stream, motherfuckers. They do all look like nerds. And this is coming from me. Yeah, I mean, imagine how I looked as a Jehovah's Witness. I looked like that, basically. Oh, good, because I felt very weird after I said that. Yeah, it's weird. It's all very self-serving, you know? It's just like, this is the kind of person you should be to fit in with our group. If you ever want to get married, i.e., if you ever want to bone, if you ever want to get in the bone zone, you've got to be this kind of whiny, nebbishy guy who whines his wife into submission and believes everything Andrew Tate believes, but is a Jehovah's Witness. Cool. So that's a thing. We studied the fucking awake. I think this was a pretty different study than what's happening at a Kingdom Hall. But I did want to boy, this window is so unfortunate. It always casts like unfortunate shadows on my face. Hey, we got Pimo here. Today's talk is about love conquers hate, when clearly they don't show love at all, claiming to be Christians, but they're not. Oh, yeah. They hate. You have to hate what Jehovah hates, like gay people. But also, love conquers hate. So just love the fact that they won't be gay in the new system. You know, love that women are submissive. You should just love that. Oh, man, I got a crazy hair. Ah! Okay. I want to get into something else. I have more prepared for us. I wasn't expecting that to go 90 minutes. I should have known better. So, the Tash? Yes, my stash. I believe you probably mean. It's all coming according to plan. I wanted to just have my mustache hair a little longer than the rest of the beard. I discovered this style when playing Red Dead Redemption 2, where you have a lot of control over your guy's facial hair. Arthur Morgan, you have a lot of control over his facial hair. And I always had this look. I do the same thing in Jedi Survivor. Is that what it's called? The new Star Wars game. You play as Cal Kestis. You have a lot of control over his facial hair. It's like video game designers were like, wait a minute. We've been sleeping on character customization options. And yeah, every time I give my guy the kind of like mustache and slightly shorter beard hair, I'm just making my dreams come true. That's all. Michael Scott, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Make our dreams come true. Now, let's go to what I wanted to talk about next, which is what's new. What's new, baby? We've got new pasty boys. The pastiest boys in town. The town of Warwick, specifically. Look at these white, curdled goat milk motherfuckers. And him. I run from Jehovah. Okay, so there is one that I thought was kind of worth looking at. That felt vaguely related to this. I was listening to these in the background this morning while playing Tears of the Kingdom, using my time wisely, striking my blows so as not to hit the wind. Is that the JW expression? They're mostly really boring. Like this one, Gage Flegel benefiting from prohibitions. It's like he was just straining to find a way to say, like, follow the rules. Like, there's a prohibition on smoking cigarettes. Jehovah has a prohibition on that. So don't do it. But he just means, like, follow the rules. See the bigger picture? Which one was good? There was one that was really crazy. Listen with mildness. I think it's this one. Because I felt like this was another example of, like, this just means be subservient and do everything that we say. Oh, okay. Let me do a quick... Let's see. How should I do this? I want to do a poll. By the way, if you want to hear me talk about poll, I was on XJW Caleb's channel earlier this week. We talked about key Jehovah's Witness beliefs, and we talked about how Jesus Christ died on a pole. So watch that. Just a little plug. While I'm figuring out how to do a poll, I think I actually literally have to pull up the stream on YouTube. I can't do them from StreamYard because this channel's a fucking joke. Oh, God. Okay. So, engage with your audience. Start a poll. What should we watch? I want to know if you want to watch morning worship or a broadcast segment. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hasn't this guy been saying for like 3 weeks that he's going to do a video on the broadcast? Yeah, I am. Okay. Everyone just chill. Ooh, we got a drama update. Well, I think it was last week I talked about the person who stole my thumbnail. She literally just commented on my comment. Oh, well. She just said she didn't realize it was mine. Apparently she used Google Images and it came up. Okay. Anyway. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to make that poll. So the I am doing a broadcast video. It's almost done. I'll probably finish it tonight. I got a good Adderall situation going right now. And I'm like, the approach I'm taking to the broadcast is not, I don't like go through beat for beat, like every little point. Like, it's not like the Lloyd Evans videos where he plays a little clip and stops. Not to knock that format. I'm probably going to do it a lot more in the future because there doesn't appear to be any correlation between the amount of work I put into videos and how many people see it. So I need to stop making things harder for myself than necessary. But this, like, I'm kind of making it more about JW broadcasting in general and how they're all kind of the same. And so I don't go through it normally. So there's a few segments that I don't really go in depth into, but that I think would be interesting to go through beat for beat. How do I? Okay. Broadcast segment is winning 54-46. That was 1 minute ago with 37 votes. Hey, we got XJW Panda in the chat as well. Oh, Baldur's Gate 3. I know. That's on my list too. I really need to get into that. For my Xbox, I basically have only been playing stuff that's on Game Pass. I made an exception for Jedi Survivor whenever that came out, but I haven't wanted to buy a lot of new games, so I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3 yet. But I played Starfield for a long time, and then my game got this fucking horribly designed game. I played for hours and hours. I was on like level, I don't know, 30 or something, and I was just in this area where all of my saves were in this one specific area where every time I loaded it, I would just die instantly. There was nothing I could do except for go back to some earlier save, like 10 levels earlier. I was so upset and sad. So I started it over and then got bored and started playing other things. And Christina got me Super Mario RPG for my birthday, so I've been playing that too. Well, no, you cannot steal my title. Call it a misogynistic hellscape, so it's JW accurate. Okay, I think. Oh God, it's literally 50-50. I can't stop now. All right, I'm going to give this one more minute, and then I'm going to end the poll. Oh, man. Some shade. Some shade for the drama segment later. Guys, this poll is stressing me out. The fact that it's 50-50. What is this? The U.S. presidential election? The new Avatar show. Oh, I'm the wrong person to ask because I've never seen the original Avatar, The Last Airbender. Never watched it, which is a shame. I don't know why. I've always heard it's great, and I plan to watch it someday. Actually, Christina's been watching more anime than myself. I just never got into anime at all. I was snobby about it. And our friends were surprised to hear this last night. I was kind of like, I feel like I just have enough stereotypes going on already. Like, I don't need another white nerd stereotype. But I think at this point, who am I kidding? You know, I might as well do it. Like, Star Trek is a show I've really barely ever dove into. Like, I've watched the original series and nothing else. Not for any reason. And like the J.J. Abrams movies, the 3 most recent movies I've watched and really liked, but I just never got into it. So I need to, okay, well, I gave it one more minute. And see, this is why you can't trust the polls, folks, because look at this. At the last minute, 55-45 in favor of morning worships. JW Broadcasting. Wait, I said it wrong. JW Worship. No, morning worship. Well, this will be good because we've got this guy. Now, I know what you're thinking. This looks like Kenneth Cook with he put his hair down a little bit. And yes, his name is Kenneth, but this is a different guy. This is Godburn. Kenneth Godburn. God does not burn people in hell. Is there any relation to Saltburn, I wonder? We'll find out. Okay. I think this is the one I wanted to watch. If not, there's a few interesting segments from each of them. We don't have to watch the whole thing.
So our text is about being quick to listen. So we'd like to develop the theme, listen with mildness. We'll talk about 2 points. Why is mildness essential for listening? And how can mildness help us to be a better listener? Let's take that first point. How is mildness connected with listening? Let's turn in our Bibles to our text.
Real droopy dog energy, by the way. Not that we need to be making fun of people on the stream, but yeah, a little bit. I tell you what, I need to eat a snack. Now, I was accused last week of suddenly needing a snack due to the munchies. This is not true. I do not stream while inebriated in any way anymore, unless I do. Sometimes I do, but not today, not last week. And, but no, I just randomly get very hungry sometimes. And while I eat my cheese sticks, so as not to be rude, I'm going to play this video, which I used last time. So this is now the snack break video.
Stand, blood, clean, study, house, book, follows, speech, truth, small, truth, one, made, of doubt, really, response, command, die, for, woman, die, lie, 5, knows, bad, reports, prized, respond, herself, report, a lie, guessed, response, got it, report, some, the lie, or me, truth.
Thank you. That was the snack segment song. I actually meant to make a video specifically that I can play during snacks, but I wasted too much time pulling clips for the intro, which I should also show again in case I snip down the stream in post. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter. Okay, let's get into Droopy's talk. Kenneth Clone Dean. Do we have 3 Kenneths? Because isn't the one guy's name Kenneth Flodine? We have Kenneth Cook, Kenneth Godburn. They're just Ken.
James chapter 1, and we'll read verses 19 through 21, because James makes the connection righteousness. We need to be quick to listen. That means we have to control our reaction. We have to be slow to speak, because when we start to speak, we stop listening. And we also have to control our emotions, because if we get angry, that's not going to work out God's right.
Okay. There's a lot right here. So we talk a lot there, by the way, complete lack of Kenergy, which is really upsetting when you think about it. If anybody should be bringing the Kenergy, it should be 3 people named Ken. The only one who comes close to bringing Kenergy is Flodine. I mean, he breaks out the garlic bread and everything. That kind of seems like a Ken move. Breaking out garlic bread for a visual illustration. That's a deep JW cut, if you know, you know. But, oh my God, you're so right. We need to be slow to speak and quick to... I've never tried to do a Mitch McConnell before. But him talking about controlling your emotions and like being slow to speak. Now, I sped up the audio a little bit, but we talk a lot about the cadence of JW speakers on this show. And it's a very like practiced fake kind of thing that they're doing. Like every JW speaker kind of sounds the same. They all use the exact same intonations when they speak. They speak at a similar pace. They take long pauses in between statements. And all of that, I think, goes to this. They have a very specific way that they teach people how to talk in their theocratic ministry school books and all that. And then this, like, is literally being slow to speak. I think that that's kind of what's happening here. Like, be slow to speak. Literally. Let's hear this at its intended pace.
To be quick to listen. That means we have to control our reaction. We have to
control your reaction. That's the part I was forgetting. So there's a lot just in this one statement about the control of this cult indoctrination. Like, even the way you speak, your reactions to things, the way you conduct yourself, absolutely everything, your emotions, all of that has to be controlled. There are right and wrong ways in a cosmic sense for all of these things. There are right and wrong ways to respond to stimuli.
To be slow to speak, because when we start to speak...
Wait. Let's hear him be slow to speak a different way. Let's hear him be literally slow to speak.
Listening to God's word, and he says we need to be quick to listen. That means we have to control our reaction. We have to...
That's good. That's just really good.
Be slow to speak.
Slow to speak.
That means we have to control our reaction.
Wow, 5 seconds is so long in slow motion time. Okay, I won't make us do that forever, but I had to see what that would be like.
We have to be slow to speak, because when we start to speak, we stop listening. And we also have to control our emotions, because if we get angry, that's not going to work out God's righteousness. We'll likely make matters worse. Instead, the key is what he mentioned in verse 21. We need to have mildness. That's going to help us accept God's word, to listen to it quickly and accept it. And why is that the case?
Listen quickly and accept it. That's a big part. Any new thing that we introduce, you should be quick to accept that. Be slow to raise any objection whatsoever. And that entire article about women and subservience, that stuff applies to men too. Just be slow to have any kind of critical thought or to voice your concerns or frustrations, and just immediately accept whatever young Mitch McConnell / clone of Kenneth Cook / droopy dog. You have to be quick to listen to what they're saying.
Well, mildness involves self-control. A person who is mild-tempered is humble and they're patient. They have a calm and peaceful disposition. The scriptures describe a mild-tempered person as teachable, somebody who is willing and ready to submit to God's will. So mildness is essential if we're to listen to God's word. And doesn't that explain why so many people today are not quick to listen to what the Bible says? The Insight volume makes this statement.
Okay, so before he gets into this, sorry, what did
And doesn't that explain why so many people today are not quick to listen to what the Bible says?
Yeah, okay. So he's setting up this thing. Another thing that comes up a lot is the way that they portray anybody outside of the group as being irrationally angry and violent. Like all of the experiences that they ever show of people who come into the group, especially if it's a man, it's always a man who is deeply angry and violent and was also doing drugs and, was awful. And in every portrayal, like every dramatization that they do of disagreements with a worldly person, the worldly person is always like, you are cowardly. You need to vote. You shouldn't be politically neutral. Ha! Or you need to take this pride bracelet from the store. Ah! They portray worldly people as being super mean and reactionary. Not Jehovah's Witnesses. We're slow and nice. We adopt a form of fake niceness all the time. But I think this is kind of interesting. What he's doing here is like, the reason why people don't accept our message is because they're too angry. It's because they're not slow to speak, and they're too quick to speak, and they're not really listening. He's saying that, like, if only people would really stop and listen to what we're saying, then they would come into the truth, as they would say. And this is something, if you left the group, you've probably experienced with your witness family and friends, where they're like, well, but you just need to listen to what the brothers are saying. Like, oh, you had a shepherding call, but did you listen? You clearly weren't listening. Because to a Jehovah's Witness, listening means agreeing with. Listening to something means being obedient to the thing being said. And so in their worldview, anybody who was listening to what witnesses said would automatically believe it because it's so true. And if they're not listening, it's because they're being irrational. It's not that they listened and just know that they disagree for logical reasons. It's that they're angry and upset and quick to speak and slow to listen.
The Insight volume makes this statement. It says, lack of mildness of temper is the result of insecurity, frustration, lack of faith and hope, and even desperation. And doesn't that describe the world that we live in today? Satan's got people so emotionally wound up that they're not mild-tempered. He's got them feeling insecure. They feel threatened and afraid of being taken advantage of. And for that reason, they're not open to any agreement. They don't trust other people.
This is a big source of cognitive dissonance within the group. This is how they talk about worldly people. And one thing I've always loved and respected about my dad is I think that he would try and push against this. I'm sure he still does. My dad's a firefighter, so he spends probably more time than most witnesses with worldly guys at the fire station because they have 24-hour shifts. And he, like in his public talks, would say, when we go to work and we interact with worldly coworkers, we don't see people being angry and cruel. Generally, we see a lot of people who are nice and just doing their best. And yet the world as a whole, despite that, is still angry. Like, he was trying to justify that in his head, that his lived experience with people was different than what the teaching from the group is. See, it should be the case that all the guys he was working with were super mean and irrational and just not listening, but that is not his experience. His experience was people were interested in what he had to say, and he, got to witness to his coworkers a lot. And so it's kind of interesting to see this, which just feels so disconnected from reality. And of course, it literally is, because, oh God, Echo, stop it. No. Well, it's going to be time to wrap up soon, because Echo's about to take a disgusting, stinky shit. He doesn't bury his poops. Oh, he sucks. But yeah, he's just saying, obviously, we see this is true. Everybody in the world is so mean and evil and mad all the time.
Them feeling insecure. They feel threatened. And the world that we live in today, Satan's got people so emotionally wound up that they're not mild-tempered. He's got them feeling insecure. They feel threatened and afraid of being taken advantage of. And for that reason, they're not open to any agreement. They don't.
Mm-hmm. A couple of things about this. So, yeah, sometimes people get worked up for very legitimate reasons. Like, this is another thing that I think you have to deconstruct as a witness, is that there is, oh, hey, buddy. Oh, thank you for not pooping yet. I don't know if you picked up on Mike. Or what I was saying. Okay, apparently my Adderall is not working because I'm having trouble paying attention and remembering things. I forget what I was saying, but it does feel like projection a little bit. Like, oh, people are so worked up and angry. Oh, yeah. Why are people worked up? Well, like, I don't know. I get worked up a lot on this stream because I was raised in this religion. I had no say in it. And I was, raised in a doomsday cult. And in order to leave it, I had to sacrifice a relationship with my family. And I don't think that's fair, right? Most people don't. And so I get angry, and I do get worked up about it sometimes. I think that's justified. And when people see racial injustice, they get worked up. When people see genocide happening, we get worked up, right? When non-binary people are killed for no reason other than hatred. These are valid reasons to get worked up and protest and to do something and to vocalize your anger and frustration. But what this guy wants you to believe is that no, under no circumstances is it ever appropriate to get worked up or upset at anything, because that implies a lack of unity. People having differing opinions on how the world should work, that is bad. But this also feels like projection, because witnesses are very bitter and angry, and they're quite literally reactionary, and they are not open to any agreement. They are not open to any criticism of their group, to the fact that even negative news is said to be fake news, because obviously the only real news about Jehovah's Witnesses is that they have the truth, right? So it's a lot of know you energy happening. Kenergy, sorry.
Trust other people. Satan's got people feeling frustrated. Life in this system is unfair and unjust, and that hardens people, making them resentful and bitter.
How dare you?
And the institutions in this system of things have robbed people of their faith and their hope, and it's no wonder that people are skeptical and suspicious. And all of that has left people feeling in despair, distressed, and anxious. And
the stuff about like people being skeptical and suspicious of Jehovah's Witnesses is kind of interesting too. He's like, it's not you or us. It's not that the religion is up to suspicious stuff. Just don't look up the news ever for any reason, by the way. But yeah, no, it's not us. It's them. It's because of Satan. It's got everybody so worked up and suspicious. They're just not listening to our message because of all these other bad religions that are tricking them into thinking that all religion is bad. But if only they would stop and listen to us, the only true religion. Insane. Oh, look at this. You mentioned non-binary people and genocide, and people leave the stream. How interesting.
Satan likes it that way. He wants people to not be mild-tempered because he knows if they're not mild-tempered, they won't be quick to listen to God's word. Yet with Jehovah's help, anyone can gradually develop a mild temper. With Jehovah's word and his spirit, he gives us the reason and
Compliment.
the ability to do so. He gives us the ability to control our reaction. And through his word, he gives us the reasons to feel secure.
The ability to control our reactions. This guy, this is what his face looks like when he's not controlling his reactions. He's taking a big stinky dump. Gross. I hate it. I hate this.
To feel calm, to have strong faith and hope. And as a result, we can trust him. We don't have to take matters in our own hands. So mild.
What I find interesting about this is like when you watch documentaries about other cults, they all have this. They all have this like very practiced fake kindness, this like level of serenity, kind of dead behind the eyes look about them, this calmness and bright behind the eyes and big fake smiles. They all do that. And it's because the only way to really control people is to suppress any natural human reaction that they have. You have to train people to suppress their own thoughts and their own feelings and emotions. I've said it before, but a lot of witnesses for sure are pushed into a state of disassociation. Yeah, for sure. That's your doctor of Jehovah is right for you. Doctors that I've been to do not recommend Jehovah's Witnesses.
This is essential to listening to God's word. It's the quality that loosens the soil of our heart that allows God's word to be implanted there. But mildness can also help us become a better listener. And to see that, we have only to look.
Wait, what are those seeds that he was mentioning?
Heart that allows God's word to be implanted there.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But mildness can also help us become a better listener. And to see that, we have only to look at the wonderful example of Jesus.
A better listener is somebody who like listens even harder, who's even more quick to accept whatever shit the governing body's saying. That's how you become a better listener. Become more subservient. I think we talked about this enough. I think we get it. He says the same thing. Okay. I don't think I have too much scrappy drama. A couple things. I want to shout out a channel that is good. XJWMJ. I'll link this in the description along with the link to the Swedish jwfacts translation if folks want to spread that around. But XJWMJ is a smaller XJW YouTuber who's really great. And I'm not just saying that because he complimented me in a video. But he talked about, oh yeah, wow, I don't think it had my face in the thumbnail when I watched it before. But he's got a really nice channel that's good. And I wanted to shout him out because like I'm constantly in a flux with my own relationship to the channel and what I want it to be and my own relationship with it is. I think I said that twice. I don't know why. But it's hard when you make videos on YouTube not to get caught up in the YouTubery of it, not to get caught up with like worrying about numbers, subscribers and view count and stuff. It's really hard not to get obsessed with it. I mean, all YouTubers talk about this. And I watch a lot of YouTube. So I'm always kind of figuring out how much I care about it. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. And anyway, this video, his I Have a Huge Announcement video, really made me, it's a really nice video. It's just him talking about his own experience kind of making extra W content and him getting frustration with trying to figure out like what viewers want. But he talked about like when he started making the channel, it was just for himself, just so he, had an outlet, because like a lot of people, he woke up and just had a lot of shit on his mind that he wanted to say. And I watched that and I was like, hey, wait a minute. That's why I started the channel too. I just started my channel because I wanted to, I felt like I was going insane. I was PMO. I was writing a lot of stuff just on my laptop. I started putting some of it on the website, but some of it didn't really make sense for JWFAQ. And so I started making videos. And I think that when I get like depressed about shit, it's always because I'm comparing myself to other channels, other people who are getting more views or have more subscribers or seem to go viral, which has only happened to me like once, arguably. The rest of it has all been having videos that just kind of accumulate views over time. But I think it's just made me feel like I need to get back to a mental state of like, I make videos for me because it's a fun outlet for me. So easier said than done. I'm sure I've given this exact monologue on the show before, but I haven't. I go back and forth on this stuff. So I'm going to be finishing this video on the broadcast rebuttal. One of the reasons why it's been taking a while is because I just made a choice about the approach that I was taking to it. And just like, as I'm editing it, I'm just like, I wish that I hadn't approached it this way. I wish that I wouldn't have made it complicated. I should just make shit that I like. So some of the stuff that I like are like deep dive video essay things that I'm going to be, doing more of later. I think my patrons voted on what the next thing is going to be. And it's going to be a deep dive into Seventh-day Adventists, and specifically how they use the internet. This is something I found when researching the Freemason video. And it really went down a rabbit hole on this bizarre channel I found. And it turns out they were only the tip of the iceberg. They're very smart with how they use the internet compared with Jehovah's Witnesses. And so I think that there's a lot to be learned there, because I don't know about you, I don't hear about Seventh-day Adventists that much. And I am in this space on YouTube. I'm always looking at stuff that's like religion and Adventist based on YouTube, and I just don't hear about them that much. And yet they're so much bigger and more influential than I thought. So that'll probably be the next big deep dive video. I know that I had said that it was going to be about the New World Order conspiracy theory, but frankly, I don't know if it showed up when my YouTube subscription showed up. To shout out another channel, to be honest, I kind of got scooped on it. Not scooped, but basically a YouTuber that I really like just kind of made the video that I was thinking about making, or at least made something very similar. Dead Domain, a really great channel that I really enjoy. They break down a lot of like religious extremist stuff. Their first video where they really went viral was like infiltrating this white nationalist church, I think. Yeah, the Nazi hate church. It's really crazy. Yeah, trans person infiltrates a hate church. This video is bananas. And it's kind of a rough watch, but it's very interesting if you want to see just how disgustingly hateful some churches are. She infiltrates this kind of white supremacist church, and then she just made this video called A History of Hate, the history of anti-Semitism and how it affects us today. And of course, it's all about this New World Order conspiracy stuff in a big way. And it's like, I was like, man, I feel like I need to let the heat on that cool off a little bit before I dive into it. So definitely check that out if you're interested in it. Yes, it's a big YouTube channel with Seventh-day Adventists. Of course, I can't remember the name. Well, one of them, if it's Saved to Serve, that's the one that I found. And that's the one that I have been kind of using as a springboard for my research. They're quite interested. Hey, yeah. Yeah, Dead Domain is really great. So definitely check out their channel. Oh, yeah, so that's why I'm going to sit on the New World Order thing for a little bit. Also, I felt like it was genuinely driving me insane reading all these conspiracy books. Have I whipped this out on stream yet? But like I referenced this book a few times, this David Icke book. As you can see, I got, used off of thriftbooks.com or whatever. This thing is really nuts. He actually cites, what's his name? The guy, Fritz Springmeier. He references that Freemason book. That's what turned me on to Fritz Springmeier in the first place, was reading about it in this. That felt like a long story to explain for the Freemason video. But, I spent like hundreds of hours on that video in terms of research and actual editing. And frankly, I don't think I'm good enough at editing to really pull it off to begin with, because it had some issues and the audio for some reason was like not high quality because I fucked up how I recorded it somehow. And then I made a video like in 3 hours that got more views than that. So I kind of feel like, okay, well, I need to be a bit more chill about, or more selective about what I choose to spend a lot of time on, but I loved making that Freemason conspiracy video, but I just need to like have a different attitude in terms of like, if I make this thing and I like it, that should be enough. I don't need to worry about like how much traction it gets. Frogmood, hi, I'm about to send the Australian Royal Commission to my mom. I'm forming it as a question, but still I'm unsure how to word it. If it should be a call or a text. Currently we live in different states. I would say don't make it a text only, although you probably need to send the link, right? But much easier to ignore a text than an actual conversation. Then again, you can obviously choose your wording more carefully. I sent several like long letters to my parents about stuff, thinking I could wake them up with facts and logic. And it didn't work. God, is there a way I can change the layout so this doesn't cover half my face? No. StreamYard's the worst, and I only use it because I'm too stupid to understand other streaming outlets. Okay. I don't want to pan down too much because then you'll see Peach's puppy training pads on the ground. Ooh, Culty Talk. Send me some of those on my email if you think about it. Oh, but about the Australian Royal Commission thing. Listen, I think that the best thing to do is just to let it speak for itself. You can't make anybody watch this stuff. Man, it'd be interesting to see what chat makes about that, because there is a lot of, yes, what did you think about this? Have you seen it? And send the videos. Anything that you say, they have responses that have been given to them by Watchtower, right? Like that this entire month's broadcast specifically is going to be like, well, if it sounds negative, it's probably fake. You don't know the source, which means you probably shouldn't even look into what the source is. One thing you might do is clarify, like send them the link to the actual video on the Australian Royal Commission's like website. So it's clear that you're getting it like from the government website and not YouTube, because whether or not they really believe this, they'll find some way to be like, well, maybe it was AI manipulated. Maybe it's all fake. Whereas if it's on the website, it's a little bit harder to dismiss. And I tend to agree with this, that you can't really wake someone else up. They have to want to hear it. And so I guess the thing is, like, you can't really mess it up because you can't make them watch it anyway. Say whatever you feel you need to say. I think making them aware that this is a thing that exists is the most valuable thing. Like, ooh, now that I'm thinking about it, there was one little bit from one morning worship talk that I kind of wanted to play, just because it felt like an accidentally revealing statement. I think it is this guy who I really don't like for some reason. I'm sure I would have liked him if I was a witness. I think it's just because he reminds me of a witness that I know. Nothing personal. Donald Gordon. We know that all of your names are secretly Kenneth. Okay, he says something, I think it's right up top, that I found kind of revealing. Because, in my opinion, the best hope you can have is that you do plant a seed of doubt or whatever, and they start, and they just can't quite get it out of their head. That was my relationship with the Australian Royal Commission. I knew that there was some video out there. Jeffrey Jackson was in court, didn't know what it was, but it started to bother me that I was afraid to look it up. It took years for me to actually look it up, but I never forgot it. And I think the best you can hope for is that they'll start hearing things through your ears a little bit. They'll be like, was this the kind of thing that made Frog Mood leave or made them question? They'll start hearing talks through your ears a little bit. And that, I think, is kind of the best case scenario. And we can't choose what they do, but it might get him thinking. And he kind of says something to that effect in this video.
Pay constant attention to your teaching. In our personal ministry, making return visits, conducting a Bible study, it's very important for us to listen. Of course, we're listening to our student, but also, are we listening to our teaching? To illustrate, suppose we were at the Kingdom Hall and we have alongside of us, sitting next to us, our Bible student who's there for their first meeting. Now, as we listen to the public talk, we're listening to every point, every sentence, maybe every word through the ears of our student. Sometimes maybe it makes us cringe a little bit. Sometimes we think, well done, good point.
Sometimes it makes us cringe a little bit. So, he's acknowledging that when somebody is studying, there's a Bible student at the meeting, maybe it's their first meeting or whatever. Everybody in the hall, I know I did this if I knew that there was a Bible study there. I was never a good enough Bible teacher to have a Bible study there that wasn't like already kind of a witness. They just weren't baptized. That we've all heard a public talk where we're like, I hope there weren't any students here because that would have turned me off to the religion. If you're put in a position where you have to think from somebody else's point of view, that can help you wake up. I know that I've talked about this before, but I would do this thing, especially with like creationist arguments where I'd be like, if I was a worldly person, I don't think that would convince me, which is almost like a weird, you're really jumping through a lot of hoops to convince your brain that you yourself are not doubting something. You're like, well, if I was somebody else, that other person wouldn't believe this. But it can take a lot of time. The governor says my mom watched ARC, didn't make a scratch. You don't know. I mean, it might not have at the time. I know that like I sent my mom a list of like crazy statements that were said in the Millions Now Living Will Never Die book, because there's a bunch of crazy ones. I think it's that one where they're like, the Bible foretold that trains would exist and all kinds of stuff like that. And she's like, well, this actually just gives me more confidence because we are willing to change our beliefs when we get more information. My point was that this was the book that, my grandma and grandpa or her parents were studying when they came into the witnesses. And now none of those things are taught as true, but they had to teach it as true when they were witnesses. I was hoping that would get her to think. Pretty easy point, but it didn't. As far as I know, because you don't know what sticks in somebody's brain. Like most of us know, like it took a long time to finally wake up. It's like this long process of like, and then finally it happens. So, it can happen to them. Anyway, I guess my only strong point is that I'm going to try and make more videos with less effort put into them. More videos with less work, but not really. I think what I was trying to say is like, I'm just not going to overthink it and not try and make everything super smart and profound. Sometimes I just need to vent, and that's okay. So I might just do that in between larger projects. But the other thing, I haven't done a lot of editing this week because I've been making a lot of progress on Not a Cult, the book. The book? That's what it's going to be called. Not a Cult, the book. It's a horror novel I'm writing, and I've made a lot of progress on it this week, so I'm very excited. Self-published, so I've also just been having to do a lot of research into how it works, because it's a lot more effort than, you know, trying to do traditional publishing. So always trying to balance like 9 million different creative things. And I think while I'm working on this book, I probably need to make that the focus more than spending like 300 hours making a video that's not going to be seen by a lot of people, right? Like, because I really do want the book to be read as much as possible. But it's also kind of nice doing it knowing like I'm just going to put this on Amazon and e-publishers or whatever, and then that's it. Like, I can only do so much with it. And it's like, it feels a little bit liberating to be like, I'm writing this incredibly niche book just for me and other weirdos like me. And hopefully it's going to be, you know, understandable and fun for people who aren't Jehovah's Witnesses, but we'll see. Yes. Oh, don't worry. I'll give you plenty of notice for pre-orders. I'm sure I'll give notice for like, yeah, the least commercial Hollywood film ever made. Anyway. That's right. Knowing Better. Another good channel. This is what I hear. I hear that I think all of the prep work that I have to do is like get a line editor, you know, get send copies out to people for reviews ahead of time. So I have an actual fairly tight schedule. It's loose enough to give myself time to finish the thing, but then I don't know. Sorry, I'm just kind of rambling. Yes, well, that's the other thing. Is I'm positive that I'm underestimating the amount of time it's going to take to do the audiobook, but I don't know. Oh, this is good advice for Frog Mood, I think was the person's name, right? Well, don't discount smut novels. I've been trying to read more romance, by which I mean buy romance novels that I haven't read yet. But those are the people who really make a living in self-publishing. There's like a huge audience for it. I don't know how to do it, but there's a little bit of romance in my book, and I feel like I need to do my homework. How does romance? How does one romance? I don't know. Yeah, well, Knowing Better's video was really the big push for Christina too. I think when we talked about this. What are other options besides Audible? I'm going to try and do a thing where you can just buy it directly from like a website or something. Because then, you know, Amazon gets less of a cut. Anyway, I keep on being tempted to like read a little bit of what I've been working on, but I also feel like that would be cringe and I should wait till stuff's finalized. So, can you do audiobooks on Spotify? I mean, I know I could just release the audio like for free on Spotify, but hey. Okay, Spotify people are saying. All right. Well, hey, we did it, everyone. We did it. I'll stop talking about my ill-advised vanity projects and ponderous ramblings about the state of the channel. And I'm going to end it with the intro clip that started it all. The little montage that I made. And by the way, thank you for watching. Thank you for chilling out with me. It was very, very fun. Enjoy these creeps.
I personally have benefited from following the governing body's direction. I've actually felt joy every day, and I can only put that down to the blessing from Jehovah God on our efforts to be obedient.
Dear sisters, please avoid short skirts or dresses above the knee.
If I helped these men, I knew Jehovah would help me.
We show faith like that of Sarah's when we support the decisions that are made by God's organization today.
Tight-fitting, revealing, low-cut, or otherwise immodest clothing.
I was invited to work on home cleaning team. It's not what I thought I would be doing on construction, but it's fun, and I really love knowing that Jehovah's happy with the work we do.
Everything stops. Everything stops right now. I forgot about something fucking important. Yeah, that's right. I totally meant to... Well, if anybody's still watching, yeah, I do need to do that. I was going to do a Patreon stream just for patrons. Yes, let us. So, if you're still watching, sexy person, it's almost 3 where I'm at. I need to eat a little something. I'm going to make a new stream. I will link to it on Patreon. If you want to join Patreon, we're gonna do a thing. We're gonna hang out. We're gonna do a little get to know you with the patrons. So let me make a StreamYard link. Holy shit, I can't believe I almost forgot about that. Most embarrassing day of my life. Okay. In the next few minutes, I'm gonna have a link posted on Patreon to that. So hopefully you'll get an alert. I'm going to get prepared spiritually, by which I mean I'm going to probably pack a bowl for myself, get some more water, and we'll hang. Okay, good deal. Now this is ending. Now the prophecy will be complete.